goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Connaughton, joined by my fellow co-hosts and filmmakers, John and Elaine Woolscroft.
And how are you all doing tonight? None of them answered.
Good.
Is it because you're holding your mic tonight that you just feel like a game show host?
It is. It's exactly.
Survey
the reason
says.
why. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like this actually.
You like holding the mic now?
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to do? You're going to do this all the time?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Okay, so we're on episode 50.
Dun dun dun
Dun,
dun.
dun, 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 dun.
Holy shit. We made it to 50, guys.
Major holy 50, I like, or holy shit. Holy 50.
Now,
Major holy 50 shit,
oh my
guys.
goodness.
Now, one of us has to be sacrificed to Carousel now that we made 50, though,
I vote,
right?
I vote you.
Oh, okay.
What?
Burke Ramsey and I talked and we vote you. Not it.
You're voted.
Yeah.
Voted
Oh,
off, yeah.
Brian, I think you might have been last.
Yeah, good luck running the show without me. So there you go.
That's true.
Yeah, we're on episode 50, and this week it's going to be one of those discussion ones.
Hope you like those
Yeah,
ones.
it's
If
gonna
you
be
don't,
Yeah. It's a
then
good one.
go fuck yourself.
You can go fuck. Yeah, you can do that. Or you could
Rudeness.
check out the other 49 episodes.
Or do
We
that.
got a
if you don't
back
like this
catalog
one. We
for
got a pretty big
y'all.
back catalog.
Oh,
Just give it a chance. Discussions can be fun.
it's
Yeah,
true.
but this discussion is actually going to be pretty interesting because we see this in almost every movie that comes out nowadays.
Well, Brian, before you go on, we should probably say what our sponsor is, right?
That's true.
Now, today's episode,
we have
my little
sponsors?
snarky joke there is on product placement.
Dude, there's so many sponsors that I would want, like mostly alcohol companies.
You
Like,
just want free booze, don't you?
I mean, if Patron wanted to sponsor the show, I would be down. Grey Goose is
Yeah.
good too. I'm not discriminatory. I don't know.
I think I would want something like. I think we could do sex toy companies could sponsor the show.
But the usefulness of that runs out after a while. Because I mean, you get a dozen toys and then you're done.
No,
I mean,
what
how
I'm
many
saying,
butt plugs
listen,
does one person need?
I'm okay with a bunch of perverts tuning into the show. I really are.
Well, I don't
Hey,
care. I
let's
don't,
not assume
I
that
don't think that
sex toy
toys make
people
you.
are
I just mean
perverts.
the benefit for us might not be that high. Like I said, I mean, you get a few dozen butt plugs and then you're done, right?
I think a
how that
pre-washing
works.
fleshlight would be the best. Because the last thing you do after you've came in one of those is you want to go to the dishwasher.
I guess.
I mean, seriously, yeah.
I think maximum benefit would be if some kind of filmmaking company wanted to sponsor us and just gave us cool shit
Vivid
to make
Video?
films. It'd be sweet.
Vivid Video.
Or fleshlight.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
we'll
just saying, what porn?
you know.
They could sponsor us. That'd be cool.
I mean, but like I said, I
We're
just
saying a non-adult related
well,
thing.
I'm looking for something where the actual tangible objects would be beneficial.
So
Not
you're
to say-
saying a Kessler Crane maybe type deal?
I mean, I'm not saying that I
or
wouldn't
a
use say a
Panasonic.
porn subscription, but just I
No,
want
Kessler
max-
Crane's a video tool.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
And I
Would we
mean,
would we have to review MILF Shake 9 though if they were the sponsor
that would be
and say
kind
how
of
much
great
we
though,
love
because
it?
I have a lot of thoughts on Milkshake now.
Our mutual
Do you?
friend used to do that.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, is that what she did?
That's what she did.
She wrote reviews?
She worked for one of the porn websites.
Empire? Did she
And
work for Empire?
It
Is
was
that the
DVD
name?
Empire, yes.
DVD Empire.
And
Well, here we are.
Adult DVD Empire.
Doing product placement.
And one of the things she had to tell me, she told me what she had to do was she had to watch all these bad movies and these are really bad porn films. And one, look for...
Is there a good porn film?
Oh, there's some good ones out there.
Well, I'm not talking
There's-
about what gets you off. I'm talking about actual quality of film.
I
Hey,
mean,
Brian's qualified to know both.
Yeah.
I'm just saying Pirates is considered one of the most expensive porn films ever made
Yes.
with visual effects and cinematography, and
Is it good? Did it get the job done?
it got the job done. But just along my point to close it out, one of our friends did work for Adult DVD Empire, and she had to review these movies. And I think she told me after a while she kind of got desensitized to it.
Sure.
So,
Well, speaking of routinely getting fucked in the ass, the new Star Wars trailer dropped.
oh Jesus
come
Christ!
on.
What?
Come on.
You can't do that.
I mean, it was a great transition, but Are we just gonna now have like a season of you just shitting on every Star Wars thing?
Yeah.
No, I just don't know why a trailer is just such a gigantic moment.
Because it's the first look that we've
Okay.
had. I mean, Disney has that shit under lock. This is a big deal.
In the Disney Vault. And
Listen, I get it, John. You don't like this.
Too cool for school, McGraw over here.
You're really just not buying into it, and that's okay. That is your prerogative. But Elaine and I are gonna geek the shit out until fucking Christmas.
I mean,
And then Christmas is gonna come,
And we're gonna poop.
geek this shit out for the next year and then we're gonna talk nothing about. Everything's gonna be about. Oh, did you remember this from Star Wars movie? Remember this? Remember?
yeah,
You know?
remember.
And when are you guys going to get sick of Star Wars?
Never.
So they make
We both had the same answer with like the same with different levels of fuck you, but like we both meant fuck you
so
with
50,
that never.
50 straight years of movies. You're going to just be like, oh, here comes the next one. And
Yep, don't
Listen,
give a shit.
like 99-year-old.
listen.
Did you see how many Star Wars books I found in my mom's house? Did you see how many? There was like dozens.
I love Star Wars too.
No,
but
you don't. Not as much as we
Li-
do.
li-
not well. Maybe not as much as you. but-
Listen, buddy. Listen, buddy.
Listen, buddy.
Listen,
yes,
guy.
listen,
Okay.
buddy.
We had a dark time with the prequels. Don't ruin this for us.
Bad.
Okay, that was a dark time.
Things were bleak. That was like some old Republic shit
That
back
was
then.
okay. There was a dark time then. We had to deal with a lot of sand hating Hayden Christensen.
Mm.
Okay,
Now, thankfully, I was going through puberty, so for like the first like go round he was in, that was kind of okay. Because I mean,
your hormones were going
I
crazy.
was not.
you were just like
my hormones didn't discriminate. I was
right,
like,
we had
cool.
Natalie.
Are you a dude?
we did have Natalie.
It's true, and I was like,
I was all up
you know,
in that.
and
that
her
was
leather
fine.
bondage tease outfits.
I don't
like,
care.
No, Annie, we can't be together. I'm a senator.
She owes him 0 sex. Outfits aren't teases, John.
Oh, when the lights are dimmed like that, and the fireplace is going, and she's wearing skin tight
but-
leather.
Get your shit together. That's not a tease.
You gotta admit, she was pretty.
The
she was
force was
great.
strong in his
Pretty hot.
pants.
She looked great, and the Force could be strong in his
She
pants.
settled for a Jedi.
I mean,
I'm gonna be honest.
She wanted monk sex.
Yeah,
I guess. I mean, I would have gone for Obi-Wan.
But you know, I was happy with the Star Wars films. You know, the 3, and that was fine. And I made some prequels, and they were bad, but whatever. They were still from George Lucas. And like, can we just let it be? Can't Star Wars just be a thing?
well,
Like,
why
can we
can't you
move
just let
on?
us have this? Why can't you
just
let us be
have
happy?
this, okay?
I'm not
like-
letting you not have it. What am
No,
I
you're
doing?
just shitting all over it and making it harder to like.
Well, no. What's great is we're having a podcast where there's a dissenting voice. This is actually
No,
great,
this is
great
good.
podcast.
I mean,
This is
but
good
I
stuff.
have to be married to you, and that's sort of exhausting sometimes.
I get to go home after this.
It's true, he does,
So,
guys.
Brian, you sleep on a cot at the edge of our bed. Oh well, all right. Well, let's unbiasedly.
you said you weren't going to say that.
break down.
Unbiasedly.
Okay,
Unbiasedly
so-
break down this trailer.
So the trailer.
Well, first of all, so
okay. Do you
let's
want to
give
dive
a
into
little-
this?
Let's give a little background.
Okay.
And kind of like break this down. So it was Star Wars Celebration Week in Orlando this past, as we record this, this past little bit here. Oh, excuse me. And so they were doing the panel on the new film. You know, they had the cast, and it was monitored by Josh Gad,
He's Disney's
Well,
lapdog.
He really
reason,
is.
you know the reason why that's the case?
because he's Disney's lapdog.
Well, there's that. And also because he's been doing these like meme viral videos where he gets in the face of Daisy Ridley and says, "So can you tell me what's going to happen?"
Oh, that's
in
right.
This
That's
and
right.
she's like, "What have I told you? I can't tell you anything." Now, I think they're doing it for fun.
Yeah, they're just being funny.
They're just being funny.
But like Josh Gad's not funny.
No, but it was funny because there's one video that I thought was hilarious. It's where Daisy Ridley's in her trailer and she walks in her trailer and she's like, "Listen, you told me we're not going to do this anymore." And he's like, "I'm not going to ask you about Star Wars. I'm not going to do anything." She walks into her trailer and Judi Dench is sitting in her trailer with a list of questions.
I didn't see
And
that
she's
one.
just saying stuff like, "So, is Rey a Skywalker or a Kenobi?"
That's amazing. Oh, Judi Dench, I love you.
So just going down the line, because he did say he
said?
wasn't going to say it.
Oh, that's funny. Oh,
And it ended up being that. But yeah, Josh Gad is kind of the
yeah, I'm just
lapdog
not
for
a big.
Disney.
I'm not a big fan of that guy. But anyway, so they were doing this panel, and first of all, they released the poster, and that was the first time anybody had seen it, including the cast. and it's Rey with her lightsaber. It kind of mimics a lot of the art from the early New Hope posters where Luke is holding the lightsaber aloft. She's
Well, it
holding
reminds
it.
me a lot of the insignia from the Jedi.
Yeah, it does.
the same.
It does look like that symbol, and it also kind of resembles Kylo Ren's lightsaber because it has like the cross to it. Now it's just like the light flare in this image, but it kind of is reminiscent of that as well. And then we have half of like tormented old as fuck Luke's face, and then the other half is Kylo Ren's face, like a little lower.
He's gone through some shit.
It's it's mostly red in tone. There's a little bit of blue to it, a little bit of black around the edges.
What's interesting about the poster is that the lightsaber goes from blue to red.
Yeah, it does, and I think that's interesting too.
Very interesting.
But that was the first time
Are
that
we sure these are like little hints, or is this just graphic design?
They're all hints.
Well, I mean, we're kind of like pulling this apart, and I know this is like what you hate, when like podcasts or shows or whatever, like let's look at every detail, and I get it. Like when it came out, when there was a bunch of articles, I was like, I just needed a break from all of it. But then they also released the trailer. Then finally during this, and we just were lucky. We happened to be at a friend's house who was live streaming it on her TV, so we got to see it like full on a huge TV, like the first time we saw it.
I found it I saw it on my phone.
Yeah. But we were lucky we got to see
Which
it.
is probably
when
where the
it was,
majority of people
Yeah, I
checked
mean,
it out,
yeah, because like they were broadcasting it through Verizon, I think, and that's our cable. So they showed the trailer for the first time, and that was also the first time that the cast had seen that as well. So,
But they made the movie though.
but I mean, a lot of times, things are shot out of sequence,
That's right.
things are shot out of order. You don't see any post production, for even the scenes that you're in until it's done.
Plus,
because the premiere isn't for a while yet.
If you remember, they did shoot the "I'm Your Father" scene with the on set being David Prowse saying Obi-Wan killed your father, and then it became on the actual movie "I'm Your Father."
Interesting.
Like
Yeah.
that was so they no one on the set knew
Would
what was
know.
going to happen.
Interesting.
Only Jimmy Jones knew.
Jimmy Jones.
Old Jimmy Earl Jones.
Yeah, but
Interesting.
like that's the point. So like you might not know what's on the screen until you see it. But
Right.
in regards to the trailer, the biggest thing, because honestly, you watch the trailer, it's oh my god, it's so good.
It is.
I mean,
I
you're
had
getting
goosebumps
shots.
the whole
You're getting shots of
time.
Rey learning with Luke and taking like I was kind of surprised. I'm like, she's already taken like a bunch of major steps in the Force.
It seemed
to
like
the
it.
point where other Jedi and other Force users haven't nearly reached, and she kind of just discovers it that day. But what's interesting is she's training with Luke through most of it, and she's kind of looking at the light side being Leia, dark side being Kylo Ren's smashed mask, which I found very interesting. And this thing called the balance
yeah.
that I really like.
Well, we've talked about this before. We've talked about
during
light
our-
side versus
We fought
dark.
on this.
We
yeah.
fought
Yeah,
on this,
we did
and I
a
won.
slugfest on this. Yeah, and in real life, like we drew straws for the sides, but like I agree with you. I don't think that that it's as simple as good or bad or light or dark. I think you do have to operate in shades of gray, and I wonder if that's what this is
I
going
got
to
to
mean.
be honest with you. I'm hoping that the people who are writing this maybe have listened to our slugfest.
I like to think
Said,
that
you know what?
Just die
Disney
happy.
listens to our show.
Brian
before they
might
do
be
anything.
right.
I could just die happy.
But I mean, the way that I interpreted that last line, because that's been the big news bit
right,
regarding
the
this
Jedi
trailer.
must end.
The Jedi must end, and he says it in a very like morose,
Ominous tone.
Jedi must end, Batman.
Yeah,
He does sound like the Joker now that he's old
He
and
does pull a
sad.
little bit of Joker, but the way that I viewed it is that Luke is discovering that the black and white dogma of the Force is only the tip of the iceberg.
Right. Well, we saw his,
You know?
we don't know the details, but we saw his failure with having the Jedi Academy and producing Kylo Ren, who is now evil.
When do they say that in the movie, though?
They mention it briefly that that Luke had tried having an academy and that Ben, Kylo Ren was one of
Tuition
his
was
students. that Kylo Ren was one of his students, and that he blames himself for turning his friend's kid to the dark side.
Maybe he shouldn't be such a hipster about it. Like, he discovered being a Jedi like 20 years ago. Now he's like, it's over. It's been like thousands of years, and now he's like, the Jedi should end now that I'm the only one around.
That's not what he said. I'm just getting at the point where he's realizing that a lot of the bullshit that we saw in the prequels from the Jedi.
Yeah.
So,
and do you think that's Disney's way of rewriting history?
I think it
and,
is.
making it not.
I think
suck?
it is. It's a way of saying, hey, we acknowledge that these prequels do exist.
Yeah.
And that the Jedi in those prequels, honestly, kind of are shitty.
Yeah.
Like, you've got the Jedi Council, which basically shat all over Anakin from the start. And a lot of people, I never get a chance to use that word.
It's a good word.
But a lot of people that I've watched on YouTube, there are a million different Star Wars analyzed videos, but a lot of them say, what would happen if the Jedi accepted Anakin for who he is?
Yeah.
And what if they didn't follow some dogmatic bullshit of, don't have sex with women?
Or men. I mean, don't
men.
have sex at all.
Wait,
was
was
their
that
thing.
was that not a creation in the prequels though? There was no hint of like them being
No.
sexless
No.
in the original.
No,
movies.
but
Well, Obi-Wan was just old, so I mean, that's kind of why I assumed he wasn't a sexual being. But it seemed like when they brought it into the
So he didn't have that force push?
Force push?
Force push?
What the heck is force push?
In the prequels when they you put out their hand and people flew backwards, he just didn't have that with his dick.
That's not a thing.
Well, in the Clone Wars, he did kind of have a
moved
relationship.
people with his dick.
No, he did have. He kind of had a relationship with the leader of Mandalore,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's in.
and Darth
Clone
Maul
Wars.
killed her.
Oh, spoiler alert, y'all.
Cock.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I guess for me, like, just kind of getting back on the subject of the trailer,
Yeah.
I view that last line as Luke deciding that the dark and the light really aren't good, and that since he is basically the one to bring balance to the Force, he would naturally say the Jedi aren't any better than the Sith.
Kind of. I mean, because they've tried this a couple of times now. Like, we've seen what the Jedi have done in the world, or in the worlds, I guess, in the galaxy, but it just seems like it's not really worked out, possibly because it's been too austere. So it'll be interesting to see, like you said, if this is some kind of new approach that they're going to take, and it's not going to be like Jedi anymore. Like, maybe it'll be some other thing,
I think it'll be more closely aligned with things that we've seen in Rebels. Like, I don't know, how far are you in Rebels? Are you caught up?
No, not caught up yet, but beginning of season 3.
Okay.
And I heard there's only going to be 4 seasons. Did you see that?
Yes.
The 4th is going to be the last.
That's good, though.
Why?
It's good because we're getting to the point in the history of this timeline in Rebels that they're inching closer and closer to Rogue One's timeline.
Well, that's stupid. I want more show.
They said they're going to make another show.
Oh, it's just
They said that at Celebration. They said
It's
that
just gonna be
another.
different?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So
that's
you're going to
okay.
get more show.
fine.
It's Disney. They need more of your money.
I want that Sabine
Want
doll
that
though
sweet
that they're
money.
coming out with the women's line
Yeah.
of all the like women heroes and the little shorts and stuff. They were like also an accompanying set of toys. Like, yeah, right. Like that's not why you're doing these
Yeah.
shorts in the first place.
But getting back to my point, in Rebels,
Yes.
one of the big things that you see is the new character of the Bendu, which you probably saw that in season 3.
I'm only like 3 episodes in.
You're only 3, so you haven't seen the Bendu yet.
I don't think so. I'm only at the Antilles extraction, the one where they
they
get
bend?
Wedge Antilles out of the
No, he-
Air Force Academy.
Earmuffs.
Okay.
Okay,
La, 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 la.
so
Yes.
the Bendu is basically this giant force creature that exists on the Rebels base in the TV
Oh
show.
wait, is he that dude? I could still hear you. Is he that dude that like guards the cave
Yes.
and he like guards the holocron?
Yes,
Yeah, that's fine. I know that.
but he is a basically a he doesn't believe in the dichotomy of
Yeah.
the Jedi or the Sith. He sees it as equal balance.
I knew that.
He's the one in the middle. So
knew that.
that's where they're pulling from. And Ahsoka can be considered a gray Jedi
Gray Force
because
user.
she also is just a Force user. She's not a Jedi or a Sith. So that's, I think, where they're going.
Interesting.
Is that kind of like more Buddhist thinking, and are the Jedi's just Catholics? Dogmatic.
I think both are dogmatic, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both have their dogmas. It's just, the idea of the Force is so much bigger than just man-made dogma.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what Luke's trying to get to, is saying, hey, these rules are honestly bullshit. It's a bigger thing out there than just one side or the
bigger
other. You
picture,
have
and
to use both.
Hopefully that will be a bigger picture. But
Yeah.
I mean, just like a metric butt ton of Star Wars.
A lot
this
of Star
week.
Wars stuff.
So much Star Wars stuff going on. Like, Google it all. Cry yourself to sleep with the Leia tribute. Do all of that. And they're also talking about maybe doing a Star Wars themed resort, like where you can stay
saw
at
that.
Disney. Like the concept art for that is like
Well, it was
off
not
the
just a
chain.
resort. It's like a
An
ship.
experience, yeah, like an immersive experience. And
Yeah.
they also said that they're thinking about gamifying the Star Wars land, like the park.
Okay.
Where the choices that you make will affect how people treat you later on. So,
So
for
you're telling me
example,
if I, piss on the Millennium Falcon while I'm there,
if you say if you suck
I'm going to
at
be treated like crap?
well, no, say if you like.
Well, you might be treated like crap.
I mean, the
anyways, if you
police
piss
might
in there.
escort you out, but like if you suck.
But
at
what
the,
if I just want to say I wanted to piss on the Millennium Falcon?
Well, if you suck at the, it has to be within the realm of reality. So, if you suck at the Millennium Falcon ride, somebody might tease you about it later, like a staff member.
that just seems like bullying.
Well, I mean, that's
Yeah.
just an example. Or if you were great at it, if you were a great flyer, maybe a bounty hunter would try to come after you. I mean, it's something you opt in or opt out of.
So what you're trying to tell me is that the Star Wars, resort thingy is going to kind of be like Total Recall?
Kind of. I mean, that's
It
that's
seems
like
really
a separate
bad for
thing.
kids on the spectrum, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, it would have to be something that you would opt in or out of, and
Yeah.
parents would be making those decisions. I imagine they would treat an adult differently than they would treat a child. I mean, and they
I was
would
going to
have
say, if
all
it were
kinds
me,
of
I might take it a little bit
research.
too seriously. I might kick that bounty hunter's ass.
I mean,
Come here,
that's-
IG-88. You can't even really move in that outfit.
That's between you and your Yoda. But anyway, guys,
Beat the shit out of
listener
you,
guys,
Boba
and gals, please, check out all the cool Star Wars, info that we have this week. I mean, 'tis the season because
Yeah.
of Celebration Week. So
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the news that we got from the Star Wars land. We'll do a quick throw over to our friends at the Epicast Network and let you check out another cool podcast. And we'll be right back after this.
Time for another product placement.
Hey guys, this is Marta from Marta on the Move. I hope you're enjoying this podcast. When you're done with this one, you should go check out mine on www.martaonthemove.com. On the Epicast Network, you can find me on Twitter at ICan'tFindMarta. If you like interesting people and places in Pittsburgh, food and drink, travel advice, and general nerdery, check it out and keep it moving.
Calling all Dungeons and Dragons fans. If you like actual play podcasts, then I urge you to check out a new one. It's called You Meet in a Tavern, starring a halfling monk with a Napoleon complex, an honorable human paladin with an arsenal of horrible impressions, and an animal-loving half-elf druid whose bonds are covalent and mortgage-backed. We are four 20-somethings with dull jobs by day, letting our inner nerd kid shine through our first ever D&D 5th edition campaign together. Come listen to our quest on iTunes and follow us on Twitter at YMIA Tavern. That's You Meet in a Tavern, because every good story starts in a bar.
And we're back.
We're back.
We're back. That was
We missed you.
We did. That was a message from our friends.
Me most of all.
Jesus Christ, I'm trying to do the plug here. That was
Sorry,
a
bro.
message from our friends over at the Epicast Network. Great shows over there. I was actually listening to what one, Does This Hold Up, came back.
Yeah.
So they had a Tokyo Drift episode. Fucking hilarious.
So good.
Barely talked about the movie, but honestly, they even admit on the show, they're like, can we really call ourselves a movie podcast anymore? Because it's just it's full of these bits that these guys go over. So definitely go
It's
over.
not that old, though. That's,
What, Tokyo Drift?
yeah, that's only like 14 years old.
Yeah, but
Hey, is
it's
14
one of the
years old
most
not that we're looking
ridiculous
back
movies
now?
ever.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know?
Yeah, but I mean, is 14 years like what we're looking back on now?
Well, that's kind of that's the thing is does this hold up? They pride themselves on picking kind of older movies.
Right.
So they'll pick, like, Tokyo Drift is fairly old by
guess it
today's
is now.
standards. But check them out. Check out Drinking Partners. I was listening to them this morning. Yeah. They had Randy Bauman from the DVE Morning Show.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
On there. Really
Very
good.
nice. Very
good
nice.
episode there. Check those guys out. Check out Marta on the Move. The You Can't Handle the Truth guys, all at the Epicast Network. And guess what? You know what they also do?
What's that,
They
Brian?
produce podcasts if you've got a
They
cool
produce
idea.
hella podcasts.
They
They
do.
do Earthing.
This sounds so enticing.
They do. So, like, if you have a podcast idea, like you want to be the next Cinema Psycho show,
Which you can't,
which you
because there's only
can't.
one.
But let's say you want to do a movie podcast. You want to do, I don't know, some other type of podcast. You want to talk about penguins. Or you want to talk about
The penguins.
The penguins.
Phallic foods.
Phallic foods. Okay, that's a good one. You could go to the Epicast Network and you could hook up with these guys.
Corn
and
doggy
they-
style?
And they will help you do all of your marketing. They'll help you engineer your show. They really take care of everything.
They'll help you make the corn dogs for your corn doggy style
I don't
podcast.
know if they'll do that.
I mean, if you asked really nice.
If you ask really nice, they might.
I
but-
bet Nick's a good cook.
Yeah.
Probably. But, check those guys out at the Epicast Network. They're our friends, and we're part of the family.
And I will happily come on your phallic food podcast if you start one.
That's a promise right there. It's on,
That's
it's on the air right now.
goddamn promise.
So today's kind of main topic, we talked about a little bit of Star Wars trailer action, and now we're going to be talking about product placement.
Talking about selling
And
out and
selling the
products.
fuck
It's
out.
Perfect for Star Wars, I think.
Yeah.
Rude.
So you got some notes on this, because I got absolutely fucking nothing. This week's been kind of hell
Well,
for me.
I think what we should really start on is for me, I wanted to talk mostly to you guys about, and I think this should be the overlying theme of this episode. When do you, if ever, find product placement acceptable, and when does it actually come as a hindrance to the art of the story that's being made? If it's a Coke can in the background, probably no big deal to me. If the entire movie's storyline is based around it, and it replaces the artistic thrust of the film, then nothing makes me more angry when it comes to film. So I think really kind of separating that, the kind of thing, and where do you draw that line? I think it should be the main thrust. I just want to say thrust of this episode.
Right. And I think I'm coming at it from a slightly different angle because I had taken a seminar at a conference on the filmmaking end of things on, like copyright infringement and the legalities of those things, where you can't show legally licensed products at the indie level, when you don't have a lot of power or clout, when it's not, the company pays to place things in your movie, but you're using things and you could get in trouble. So, I kind of come at it from that angle. And two, I mean, like, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on the show, but I'm a huge, like, old school Food Network nerd. Mm-hmm. And back in the day, before they had their own, like, graphic design department to change the label of every fucking product, they had to turn the jars away. Like, they had to turn all the labels back, or sometimes, and I think they started it on 30-Minute Meals on Rachel Ray's show, where they started, like, putting, like, a slightly covering label on the other one, So for me, like, it didn't annoy me for the longest time because it was like, oh, finally you can just fucking see that that's, Kikkoman soy sauce or whatever, and they don't have to pretend it's not, even though it fucking has a green cap and you're not fooling anyone. You
or
know
the
what I mean?
bottle
Like,
shape is the same
yeah,
shape as
like, I don't know.
you'd
I'm
find
more,
in the supermarket.
I more found, like, that annoying than, than any, like,
So you want to be sold to?
But I mean, if those are brands I use in my life, like, especially in, like, a cooking show kind of situation, like, that's a little different, and I know that.
Well, that's all business. If they can't get them to agree to be a sponsor on the show, they can't do it. They can't show those products,
Right,
and no
right.
matter what the brand, no matter how low they are on the totem pole, they have to have them agree.
Right. And like I said, I mean, now, I mean, we have, like, these, like, celebrity chef, like, monoliths that, like, have all their own product placement. So, like, their show, you can see, like, Giada uses only Barilla pasta when she's, like, their, person and and everything. So, like I said, it took a long time to annoy me because I was kind of looking at it from the filmmaking standpoint where you're not allowed to use anything without getting in trouble. So having, like, the real brands that you use in life was almost like it kind of reflected reality to me a little better. And the only time I will say that it really annoys me, and Freeform / ABC Family is so guilty of this because they try to keep things hip for the kids, you know? And so you'll see a Pretty Little Liars episode, and I'm referencing older episodes,
Right.
but there's one where they're like, you know, I can't wait to see this movie too, you know, like it's even scarier than the first one I heard. And it's like, oh, not only did you sell to me, you assumed I'm stupid and I wouldn't see that you're selling to me. Like, I think when it's in dialogue, it's awful.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think you'll run into problems with copyright if you use it in dialogue.
Right, and you probably won't, but that's where it annoys me the most because
But
that's where I
clearly they
think
were
it's
a
the most
sponsor for it.
blatant.
Right.
You know, or like, do you want to go to the Katy Perry movie with me after school? Don't you want to see how the firework ticks? It's just like, oh, fuck you, that wasn't a good line, and like, you just brought it to the forefront that you're selling to me. Like, I hate you. That's when it bugs me the most. You know,
wanting to see brand names and having it be more authentic, you know, you sound like Michael Bay on his commentary to The Island.
well, I'm just saying in the Food Network realm, like that was like kind of an isolated
With
thing.
Food Network, I'm actually in agreement with you, Elaine, because like I love to cook.
Yeah.
So what I tend to do is if I see someone like Giada, for instance, you know, if I see what she's making, I'm gonna want to try to use the same ingredients and the same type of ingredients, you know, that she's using. So I might be more wanting to use Kinkoman, you know, soy sauce.
Right. And
Because I know, oh, well, Giada's using it. I'm trusting Giada to teach me how to cook this.
That specificity, I think,
Shouldn't
makes
I
a big difference.
not
Yeah.
get the knockoff brand soy sauce that's sitting down the aisle? So in that regard, yeah, I think that's okay product placement.
Right.
What I don't think is okay product placement, and I do have a varying sliding scale of this too.
Right. Like I said, it got to me over
For
time.
me, I look at Mac and Me, Transformers, Power Rangers to a point. The Krispy Kreme thing was honestly their only real product placement that I saw.
The whole third act of the movie depended on Krispy Kreme.
But what I'm saying is, look at the Transformers movies. Okay,
Bad. It's really
the
bad.
Transformers movies. One, Michael Bay movie, so obviously he's gonna product place the shit out of it.
He has no soul.
He has no soul. But like the blatant product placement affected not only the storyline, but also the types of shots he was getting. The best example I have is the last movie where the fucking Transformers crash into a truck, like the bed of a truck. Yeah. And it crashes through his truck, and I think it was Victoria's Secret, was on the side of the truck. But the best part was, even though this big giant fucking robot monster crashes through his truck, the Victoria's Secret poster didn't move or from the shot at all. It could not be damaged. It just kind of stood there still as this whole thing crashes through.
Well, that's its secret.
But like,
It's
like
impervious.
that doesn't make any sense to me. In reality, those things will be destroyed. So it's like, I'm okay if you want to add real product placement, but don't try to you know, ignore the fact that destruction is going to cause that, you know, thing to be destroyed. You know, Back to the Future is another offender of blatant product placement.
Yeah,
it's really bad.
Back to the Future might be in my like top 5 favorite films of all time, but I can't deny that the film that they hoard themselves out.
The
To
Pepsi
Miller,
free,
Pepsi,
Yeah.
everything, Mattel.
yeah. But I mean, I will say this: it doesn't affect the story.
No,
You know, it's not like Power Rangers where Krispy Kreme was quite literally an element of the
Well,
fucking
yeah, I mean,
story.
like, I think when it seems overly jarring is when it gets to me the worst. You know, like, it doesn't bother me so much in a lot of arenas, but, like, for example, you know, the fact that they're always driving Toyotas on Walking Dead, and they had that like brand new Prius for a couple of seasons. That took me out of the out of the show half the time, because they were like in this brand new car that looked super nice
in the apocalypse.
and they were in they used it for every scene. It was during the prison seasons,
Yeah.
and anytime they needed to go somewhere, it was like, well, to the Prius. You know, that
Did they actually say to the Prius?
I wish they did. But that has a juxtaposition that doesn't feel right to me now. By contrast, any Sex and the City watcher will remember the reference to, I mean, a ton of designer labels for one. I mean, everybody, but, you know, notably the shoe designers, Jimmy Choo and Manolo Blahnik. I mean, the show made Manolo's a household name.
Well, Lane, that almost works, doesn't it, though, because all those women are shallow and materialistic.
Well, I mean, like I said, it doesn't seem out of place. And I mean, that's a different podcast episode to like argue about the Sex and the City characters, but I will say that the kind of facet in New York that they live in is very fashion driven and very style driven. Right. That's a huge part of the show. And I mean, I'm blanking on the costume designer's name, but I mean, that show also made her a household name, you know? So, I mean, I think it is, when it's just in contrast to what the show is about, you know, obviously the Toyota thing in Walking Dead takes me out, but the Manolo Blahnik thing in Sex and the City, I mean, that feels right, that feels authentic, that feels true. And I mean, I don't care if it makes me sound like Michael Bay. I think if something like that works into the world that the characters are in, I mean, it's the world we live in, it's the world they live in, it makes sense, you know. And I mean,
that's why I kind of didn't mind. I know this is I'm gonna get some glare,
some haterade.
I didn't mind the island with its product placement.
Oh, okay.
I didn't mind it because, here's the reason why. I didn't mind it because it's saying in the future, this is what that world's going to look like. And where we're at right now, where everything is branded, everything has a commercial appeal, they're not wrong. You know?
Well, Brian, just to point counterpoint. Blade Runner was riddled with advertisements too. They showed a world where we were constantly being advertised to, but none of those products were real.
Right.
Correct.
But they were also pushing the future.
Exactly. They were pushing way, way down the line in the future. They weren't pushing, 10 years. And that's kind of where, the island was 10 years. It wasn't immediate. It wasn't, further down in the future. So, it's okay to think that, hey, by that time, and I think they did have a Coca-Cola thing.
Oh, I'm sure there were
Blade
some
Runner.
things in there. Yeah, I don't think they're guilt-free.
But what I'm trying to say is that it didn't bother me so much because it was almost a hyper-realistic vision of where we're at now. And that, like, the only thing that I didn't like was the Xbox thing. You remember that scene?
I'll admit to you, I saw The Island once, and it was about 3 a.m.
I've seen it a couple
couple
times.
Can you explain it?
Okay, well, there is a scene where Ewan McGregor's character and Black Widow,
Scarlett Johansson.
Come on, use a real name.
ScarJo.
Black Widow, guys.
Yeah, but they're in the island, and they're playing a video game. And in the future, they kind of, take the idea that the video games are all virtual reality. So the virtual reality game is an Xbox virtual reality game. So you see above head the Microsoft Xbox logo.
I wish you guys could hear me roll my eyes.
I know, really.
See if we can listen to the liquid sound of your eyes rolling.
Yeah, but basically that part, I was like, okay, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
But everything else didn't really bother me about it's kind of, as I said, I looked at it as it's a hyper-realistic version of our current
right.
world.
And I feel like if it reflects life, like it helps, because I know one of the things that you'd wanted to bring up, John, was Castaway.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a very interesting argument because while the movie was not made to be a 90-minute FedEx commercial, it is a 90-minute FedEx commercial.
But if it had been like Joe's We Ship Quick service, would it have felt as real? Would we have connected to him as well?
Me, it would have.
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, it depends. Now, coming from a business perspective, okay, if I'm a Hollywood executive and I know I'm making this movie with Tom Hanks, who's basically on an island for 90 minutes, and there's nothing else really going on other than Tom Hanks on an island for 90 minutes, I'm going to want to try to get some sort of business connection with it. I'm going to try to get something in there. So that I would say, yeah, throw FedEx in there so that we can say, yeah, look at Tom Hanks. He's involved with FedEx. He's in this new movie, Castaway, and FedEx is the main guy in there. So yeah, from a business perspective, that's obviously going to give them dividends.
And I just think that, using,
from a story perspective, yeah, it's kind of shitty.
Well, using a brand that we're all familiar with, though, doesn't that help us set up the suspension of disbelief for, you know, the circumstances that happen to him? I mean, we understand how carriers operate, you know, at that level. Just, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not opposed to using a fake brand. A lot of times I think it's great, you know, when you use something that isn't real to have that foothold in the world. You know, like the example John gave with Blade Runner when it was a lot of fake advertising.
Right.
Quickie Mart instead of 7-Eleven.
Right, you know, stuff like that. And I mean, and I think there's a time and place for that. But I don't know, like, I just wonder if it was like some obscure brand that they'd made up. Like, would you be wondering about the operations? Would you think they were like a shitty company? I mean, the main point of Castaway is that, like, this was the one guy that this should have never happened to, with like a company that should never have like had this failure. I feel like that kind of places it in a different arena.
It would be
story-wise.
interesting to see if the first draft of this script had FedEx in the
It was
actual
probably a bidding
screenplay.
war.
Maybe
Yeah,
they went to
between
UPS and UPS
FedEx.
passed.
Probably did. Yeah.
But, and just real quick, guys, by the way, we do recognize the irony that we're talking about disgusting product placement in an episode where we said by now already about 50 brand names, so don't feel the need to point that out.
Yeah, and if Manolo Blahnik wants to send me a pair of shoes, I wear a size 8.
And just, we'll happily sell out for the right.
Favorite color is
we don't
purple.
mind. We don't mind selling out.
But, you know, let's not forget, like, the type of movies that have these in them, these are products. And as much as we like to romanticize them, they're products meant to sell something. Even if it is just movie tickets, often those T-shirts and toys as well. You know, you're not going to see Coca-Cola trying to have Lars von Trier drop a can of soda into his next movie.
Lars von Trier.
But
Okay, I want you to take this can of cola and stick it in a place that's very uncomfortable.
Oh my.
but
That's what would be in a Lars von Trier movie.
Yeah.
I just remember with Terminator 2, I watched that movie maybe about 50 times before I watched it with a buddy of mine, and he had the VHS tape. I always rented it, while my parents just didn't think to themselves, maybe we should buy it for our kid, because he rents it like every other weekend. I don't know. But he had on his, which was not on the rented tape, was an ad for Subway. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know Terminator 2 and Subway like had a partnership.
Yeah.
And then
Batman had Taco Bell.
Yep. And then watching the movie, in the interrogation room when they're talking to Sarah Connor and they're showing her photos of like, oh, the Terminator's back and like your son's missing, they have a bunch of rumpled up wrappers for Subway subs and a Subway cup. And only after I saw that ad did I even recognize the product placement. And I'm sure Subway gave them a lot of money. That's why these people do. Like FedEx probably paid for Castaway. You know,
Well, they probably
needed that
were.
money.
Yeah, they probably invested money in it,
But it was
to some degree.
It was so subtle. It was in the background. It wasn't even lit all that well. Like that to me was like, okay, you got your money and you got your commercials, but it wasn't just flagrant in your face kind of stuff.
You know what kind of is one of, like, just now since you're bringing up Subway, one of the most flagrant examples that I can think of just utter advertisement comes from 2 movies. Okay, the first one, Coneheads. Okay.
Okay.
You remember Coneheads? Mm-hmm. Okay. There is a scene where Connie Conehead and Chris Farley are at a Subway, and they're talking about Subway subs. And
my
they're
God.
then eating, and she's eating a Subway sub, and she eats it like because she's an alien really fast, and it's gone.
And of course,
Okay.
Chris Farley's like, "Whoa, that could be my dick."
Exactly. But the funny thing was, I remember because when I was a kid, I moved from different states, and we would stop at like Subway or someplace like that to get food. And I remember that they had Coneheads on a lot of these cups, and they were selling toys and shit like that. And it dawned on me when I watched it. I'm like, whoa, there's the Subway ad. The second one, again, Subway, is Happy Gilmore.
Oh yeah. Well, Adam. Okay. Do we
That
want to talk
becomes
about
a
Adam
whole
Sandler?
thing. Oh, no, we didn't talk
Do we want to talk about Adam Sandler?
Is that
I
a
mean,
giant-
I don't really, but
Well, about
okay.
how his movies are just thinly veiled ads so he can get free cruises and things like that. Red Letter Media, they, check them out on YouTube. They did a great episode on how much the movie Jack and Jill cost as to how much a movie like that should cost. And it's all just a big scam by Adam Sandler to get all of his buddies and himself paid exorbitant amounts and go on free cruises as long as they do a commercial for the cruise liner in the movie. And
he's
Jack
kind
and
of
Jill,
a human tire
He
fire.
really is. Like, he used to have integrity. I used to used to
No,
like it.
you used to be 12 and think he was funny.
That's
Like,
that's
true,
true.
Elaine. That's true, Elaine.
That's true. I mean,
I love
did-
you both so much.
I did
I'm
really
sorry.
like Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, and
Me too.
I
you
saw
know,
Billy Madison
Airheads.
recently.
I love Airheads. That wasn't a him movie.
Right, but I mean, he
But
was
that was-
essential
but
to
he-
it.
yeah, he
They're
was
all
a-
gonna laugh at you.
Yeah.
Stan and Judy's Kid. All his good comedy
Stan
albums.
Judy's Kid. Yeah, but like I used to really enjoy him, but pretty much ever since Little Nicky, it just kind of went downhill.
Popeyes in that movie. It was the same thing as
It was
Coneheads.
Popeyes, yeah,
This
yeah.
Popeyes is freaking amazing. I think is one of the lines.
No, it
in
was
that
the shiznit.
Yeah. Was
It's
it the talking
Popeye's
dog
chicken.
or
No,
something?
it was one of the demons.
Oh, yeah.
Popeye's chicken is the shiznit. But yeah, he really is kind of a human piece of shit.
No, he seems like the worst ever. And like he's just like creepy. And I mean, we could do a whole episode on how he sucks. But I mean, he
fall of
just
Adam
is
Sandler.
always looking like for his own ends. But you guys were talking about something interesting before when you were mentioning how there was like Conehead toys in conjunction
Yeah,
with the Subway
yeah.
mention. That's what kind of makes me nuts. Like, have you guys seen that all the characters of Guardians of the Galaxy are all on like chip bags now?
Yep.
Like, I find it so ironic. Okay, so you guys probably aren't familiar with this, but Chris Pratt has been doing some videos on his Instagram called What's My Snack? And like they're so real because like he's like cut and ripped now, so like he can't eat whatever he feels like, and he'll like bring up like his snack for the day. And he'll show it, and then he'll like show himself eating it and how he's happy, and then sometimes he'll show videos of himself when he's hungry, and that's like everybody because he has so many snacks he's supposed to eat a day. And there's one funny video where he eats an extra. Dude's face is on a bag of Doritos. Like, that fucker's not eating Doritos right now. He wishes he was, but he's not.
I always view Chris Pratt as that's the guy that us fat people would really like to be like.
He got so cut. Like,
Well,
it's
Lane.
unreal.
Chris Pratt's not on the Doritos bag. Star-Lord is.
I know, but still, I just
boom.
Well, I think that's
In a
ironic.
galaxy where Doritos don't exist.
But what I'm saying is like I think what starts to drive me crazy is when I see Iron Man on my Dr. Pepper and fucking Reese's cups all over the place.
You don't want
Not
Iron
that I
Man
eat
on
either
your
of those.
Dr.
Actually,
Pepper
not that I
Reese's
eat
cup?
either of those things, so it shouldn't bother me.
Yeah.
But when you see like the cross promotions, that's when I start to go a little
Hey,
ape
think
shit.
of our fan base. Don't say you don't eat Reese's cups and Doritos. That's 90% of our audience.
I don't think so.
Like, fuck that, Elaine. She
I
doesn't
don't-
like Dr.
I don't-
Pepper.
She probably
Reese's
likes
cups.
kale.
I don't dislike those things. I just can't eat them.
Just
Not good for you.
Okay, just admit on the air that you think kale is evil.
Say it.
I kind of like baby kale.
Oh,
Shut
up.
fuck you. You and your kale.
Oh, bye.
Hey, guys. Let's rewind a bit.
Okay.
And let's talk a little history of product placement
Oh, that's
in
cool.
movies.
Oh yeah,
History.
This is real interesting, guys.
So it's interesting. The first films being kind of the Nickelodeons. Put your nickel in here, and you'll see a lady like show you her ankle. And then you can.
Hey, some of those movies were actually pretty risque.
I have a sexy ankle, y'all.
No, but
gonna
like,
say
it wasn't just ankle. It was like full on nudity.
Wow! Look at that beaver. Goes all the way to the backside. That's a hardy woman. She'll survive the winter.
Whoa. Just vomited. Just vomited.
God. So please continue your history lesson.
But the original Nickelodeons, the thing is they didn't have to have, other than there were limitations to the technology, but they didn't have to have products in them because quite frankly, the first movies were products in and of themselves because they're at like state fairs and
Kind of
things
like a
that.
sideshow,
Yeah,
right?
where they want you to already buy something. It's like, well, first off, take your nickel, just like you would any movie to pay for it.
Yeah.
But then, hey, while you're here, get a snow cone, get a polio vaccine. You know what I mean? Like
Polio vaccine.
polio vaccine, that'll be the day.
Amazing.
But one of the first examples was in 1925's The Lost World. Not the Spielberg one, but the 1925 Lost World. They were highly criticized for using Corona typewriters and them being, very obviously filmed to show that it was Corona brand typewriters, and that had not really been seen before. That movie, and so that caused quite.
What
an
was
uproar.
the issue? Just that it had product placement?
This movie's a commercial. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it was about 1955's Rebel Without a Cause. James Dean used Ace combs to comb his hair, and then they saw just a huge uptick in selling of those because every young guy wanted to be James Dean. and they kind of got a sense of what product placement could do, but they actually were pretty laid back about it until I would say it's between Superman 2 and E.T. that kind of started the whole product placement revolution, because Mars actually didn't pay a dime or get a dime for their product placement in E.T., but they saw the sales just spike.
And that's every of these early instances, all of these companies, I mean, especially the Comb you just mentioned, like they saw a huge uptick in sales from
I
it
think
being
you can
in that
almost
movie.
attribute that to the 60s. The 60s revolutionized advertising. You know, I mean, it was mostly on television and magazines and things like that, but it wasn't really thrown all over the place in movies until around the 70s, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the 60s with I mean, I go back to it, but the Coca-Cola commercial, you know, the World Peace one, that from the 60s.
Build a harmony,
Yeah.
Coca-Cola.
But like that kind of revolutionized advertising. And eventually leached over to films.
Yeah, because, you know, and it's funny you should mention the thing about the island, because in Superman 2, he's being thrown through, like, KFC and Coca-Cola signs. At least they were breaking, you know? Superman! Throwing him through a Coca-Cola sign. And I'll do the Marlboro, too. Like, come on, we got kids going to the movies. Don't sell cigarettes to
That
kids.
was when they did want to sell cigarettes to kids,
Right,
though.
yeah. Because that was, what, the late 70s, early 80s was Superman 2?
Superman 2 was,
79.
79.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you do see this quite a bit in television as well, and I know we don't really discuss TV, but
Right.
you know, it has to be noted with the fact that we can fast forward through commercials now. Shows like you said, like Pretty Little Liars, are just building the ads into the show.
Right. So even if you fast forward through the advertisements, you're still getting sold to in the content. And two, I know people don't. The demographic for like the age range that are watching music videos now has changed greatly, but there are also like many ads now. Like there's a ton of product placement in music videos as well.
Well, it's also because, I mean, you look on the internet and like YouTube is a hub for advertisement.
Yeah.
And they have to get their products in somehow, because a lot of us use ad blockers. I don't know about you. I use an ad blocker on YouTube so that I can skip those ads so I don't have to see them.
Wait, what's an ad blocker on YouTube?
Hey, some of us eventually want to make a living on YouTube. Stop blocking them ads.
Oh, well,
Sorry.
but
Tell me later.
it's on Firefox. But no, the point is that with people using things like ad blockers to kind of circumvent the ads that are already thrown on YouTube,
They have to make it more prominent.
They have to make it more prominent, so they do put it in their shows.
Right. Or they make the item into their own ad.
Exactly.
Like, I would say that the Bond franchise is extremely guilty of that,
Oh,
where
yeah.
you have Daniel Craig and freaking Heineken ads. Bond does not drink beer.
No, he does
He
not.
drinks martinis, you fuckers.
Well, it's funny that you should point out that you're so offended by the Heineken thing, but there are things that we just get so used to. You're not bothered by BMW being shoved down your throat
Yeah.
every movie since 1963.
Well, I mean,
Or Aston Martin.
Let's talk about the Bond franchise for a second, because I mean, in a certain way, I suppose it does make sense, because Ian Fleming was very specific about all of the things that Bond uses. But if you want to talk about dialogue as a reason, you know, what was it in Casino Royale when Ava Green is like, "Is that a Rolex?" And he's like, "Omega," and she's like, you know, like she practically like, you know, finishes.
He's got a lot of money. I can bear his children.
Yeah, and so like I was actually just checking it out, and there's a huge list on the 007 website of partners, aka people that we advertise with. And I mean, it looks like, you know, they have Belvedere vodka, they have Gillette, obviously Jaguar, you know,
Is that why
Jaguar.
Bond's always shaving in the new movies? There's always a scene where Daniel
Yeah,
Craig shaves. And then a
Gillette's
hot
a
woman comes out
partner.
of the shower and she's like, "No, I like you rugged." He's like, "No, my razor's too good to be rugged."
But seriously, it's because of the thing with Gillette.
Yes.
You know, like you said, I mean, BMW was a partner in the past.
Yeah.
Right now, their car ones are Land Rover, and they still have the Aston Martin and Jaguar as part
Jaguar.
of it. But they
Jaguar.
also have the Omega Rolex. That's still on the site. And then Bollinger, which is a champagne, Heineken, and then MAC Cosmetics and Tom Ford are also considered partners as well. Oh, and Sony, too. Obviously.
He does use Sony shit all the time.
Obviously.
I did notice
Wasn't that the house that, that puts them out now, aren't they distributed by Sony?
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, doesn't Sony own Bing?
Oh, I don't know.
I have no idea.
That's
I think
another
they do.
one. That's another
The
product
search
placement
engines
one when
that
people try to
people
use a
use.
shitty
Anytime
search engine.
you see a movie where they use Bing, it's because Sony is the studio.
Yes,
that-
because no one actually uses
Yeah,
Bing.
here's looking at you, Vampire Diaries, when you're trying to like do a spell and find a map and you fucking put it on Bang. Like, that's not how you do a spell to find someone when
Quick,
they're dying.
go to Ask Jeeves.
That's like, it's only slightly less ridiculous.
Yeah. It's like, listen, we're all using fucking Google. I know you can't afford Google, but Jesus Christ.
Right, but like a lot
on.
of these movies too, I mean, like their producers cry the blues that like this movie couldn't have gotten made if it wasn't for these ad
Bullshit.
placements. I mean, both the Bond franchise said this. I mean, Daniel Craig said he
Yeah,
was quoted
for all
as
his
saying
critics
that,
that-
and Sarah Jessica Parker said that about the Sex and the City movie too, like especially the Manolo Blahnik mentioned because they make a special pair of shoes for the film. She said the movie 100% wouldn't have gotten funded. I kind of believe that their budget was like
So you're
$4
telling
million.
me that if that specific pair of like they're a shoe company, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They did
so
a
you're
custom
telling
pair.
me that if no shoe companies were involved, that no one would really be interested in wanting to make that movie.
Well, no, they wouldn't have had the money to make that movie because they
studio
paid
So
to be in
the
it.
immense
No, they
amount,
paid
right,
to be in it.
right. But what I'm saying is the immense amount of fans of that series was not enough to guarantee making that movie.
They needed the upfront capital. They needed the money like right away for like Manolo to like pay up for that like ahead of
That's
time.
some bullshit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how much more money do they need than a TV show? It's not like Sex and the City fights, Pacific Rim,
in
where
this
it's like,
speci-
oh, there's robots in
this-
it now.
In this specific case, they had been off the air for a couple of years, I think, when
Yeah.
they started to come out
Yeah,
with the
but
movie.
people
but
still
They got that
wanted.
nostalgia.
of course
that
they did,
movie.
but they didn't have the money that they needed to get the movie made, I guess. I mean, whether we believe that or not.
I don't believe that.
You know.
I look at it as, hey, let's make more money than we actually need.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I look at it. Is we throw this in there, we can make a little more cash on the side.
Well,
You
on that note, guys, do you know how much Man of Steel made before it even premiered?
I don't want to know.
How much?
$130 million they made in profit by, what was in there? Canon,
Wasn't there a Denny's in there?
Denny's,
Oh, yeah, he
IHOP.
fucks
It was
up
an
the
IHOP.
Oh yeah, it was an IHOP. That's
Oh,
right.
IHOP.
it's an IHOP.
All the products riddled through that movie made them $130 before the movie was ever released.
Wow.
Jesus
130
Christ.
million, you said, right?
$130 million.
Wow. I mean, I
It's
look.
a business, kids.
Yeah, I understand it's a business. I just think it really depends on the movie. I mean, personally, I don't think Sex and the City needs to have that stupid, fashion company involved.
Like I said, for that movie, I do think it makes more sense than normal. And like I said, were they in dire straits? Could they not have gotten the funding from somewhere else? I don't know if I believe that, but it was easy. It was the path of least resistance. They wanted it. The company wanted to give the money, and then the movie got made.
James Bond, I think it's gone to ridiculous
Oh,
proportions.
it has. Like, I'm sorry, but like when it strives,
Ashton Martin, okay, I get that. That's
when
his
it strives
character.
away from the character, though, like get Heineken
But
out
that's
of
his
there.
character because they put it in the movies. I'm sure maybe.
Well,
No, but
he drives an Aston
he's,
Martin in
He's
the
always
books.
driven an Aston Martin. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of his thing, But
That's
I mean,
that's the asshole car I would want.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I think so.
1989 Batmobile.
Yeah,
I
Brian
mean-
and I are on the same page.
I mean,
Just imagine driving
something
down.
you can legally
Ju-
take on the road, y'all.
All I have to do is throw some fucking mirrors on the side.
Oh, you've given this some thought, have you?
I have given this serious thought. And I'll be honest with you. All I need, I know this is getting off on a tangent, guys, but all I need are some mirrors and I need some turning lights.
God
That's
love
it.
ya. God love
okay?
ya.
That's it. And then I could drive that car down 279. No problem.
Is the fire in the back legal?
You don't tell them about that.
Yeah. See, Elaine, what Brian and I are going to do is I'm going to get one with the wheel on the other side so that we can both be driving next to each other with the thing, pulled forward. So while you guys, our ladies here dressed as Selena Kyle as Catwoman, giving us Roadhead, we can high five and then drive down the road.
I find everything about this tableau you've painted to be utterly repugnant.
I think you would look really cute as Catwoman. So.
Oh, thanks. I'm not giving you guys Roadhead. Sorry.
Oh, well, just me.
And
Just him.
and John,
I don't want it.
go fuck yourself.
Oh,
Oh. So you'll be jacking off in your Batmobile.
Well, I guess I'm getting it from the Joker now.
I guess that dude will do anything for
For
free,
anybody
right?
that wants to be the Joker and get me rid in my Batmobile, DM me on Twitter.
Oh my god, dude! No, don't open that up. You're gonna get some creepers,
Oh, Lynn, can you please get Tom Cruise and those Ray-Bans off your computer screen?
dude. That's what I wanted to talk about next.
He's
So this
terrifying.
was like totally unexpected, but in Risky Business, you know, he wears Ray-Bans.
Yep.
And they weren't really that popular. They were actually kind of like, I guess Ray-Bans were like kind of on the outs. But,
They were like nerdy.
a little bit. And then when Tom Cruise wore them, the brand attributes him wearing them to the sale of over 360,000 pairs of the Wayfarers, like kind of Ray-Bans, like that type.
Oh,
and then,
Hubbard, bless him.
But then this is
I think
you know,
also Blues Brothers probably helped too.
maybe. I mean, this is an accident that had happened. I mean, this was like in '83. You know, so he wears the sunglasses. He doesn't think about it, you know, but it makes them money, blah, blah, blah. And then Hollywood figures it out, and the producers of Top Gun actually partnered with Ray-Ban to come up with the Aviator line that they used in Top Gun.
Son of a bitch.
And as a result, sales of Aviator sunglasses increased by 40%.
And sure enough, who was wearing aviator sunglasses in Back to the Future?
Goose.
Marty McFly. Opening scene. He's got aviators on. Silver aviators.
It's bad. It's bad,
Yeah.
guys. Tell me.
Well, also in that opening scene, there's Alpo, I think. Isn't that what
Yep.
Einstein
That's
used?
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. There's two products in the first 30
Well,
seconds of the movie.
I know you
Isn't there
love-
Mr. Coffee in the
Yep.
opening too?
I know you love Back to the Future, but Back to the Future is very guilty of that as well.
Oh, well, hey, you're a little late to the party. We talked about that.
We talked
Well,
about that.
I mean, I'm saying that. I mean, I know
Oh,
you
yeah.
love it, but you know, I mean,
Oh.
like, they're guilty of that.
They only get worse with the sequels.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was hard in the third one because they're in the Old West, but second one, guys, all I want is a Pepsi.
A Pepsi free.
And then let's hold on the Pepsi for a good while. Hey, self-lacing sneakers, how far out? And they're Nike, of course.
Yeah, no, like I
You
said,
must
I mean,
try
like you
this
guys said,
fashion.
that's all I meant. I was agreeing with you. I know sometimes it's hard for you to understand when I'm agreeing with you. 'Cause
What?
I do it so rarely.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. Okay. Well, let's get to the climax here, guys. The coup de grace. Let's talk about the most egregious examples
Oh,
of
God.
movies that were just ads, and I've got mine here. And before I say it, I do think it's funny. I sometimes watch old Siskel and Ebert reviews on YouTube. Just I'm curious, like, what did they think of Total Recall? when
That's
it
so
came out?
sad though, because they're both gone now.
Yeah,
I don't like him.
yeah. I know you don't like
I-
you don't like both of them, right?
I don't like both of them.
Okay. But it's just interesting to get a perspective on that, like, historically. And they talked about how the Ninja Turtles movie, the 1991, was like, oh, it's just a big commercial to kids. And I'm like, compared to some of the movies we have out, Ebert and Siskel and Ebert, like, you have no idea
I was going to say, that was a pretty tame
Yeah.
movie.
Pretty tame, yeah.
I mean, Domino's Pizza was the big one.
At least that made
was
sense
about
because they
it,
like pizza. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, here's the funny thing. In the movie, they're doing Domino's, but
They had
in
a
the
deal with Pizza
ads,
Hut.
they had a deal with Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
So, like, I remember having the VHS tape. Again, it was all on the fucking VHS tape. And they had that. Do you remember that?
Out in the distance.
Yep.
Things going on. There's strikes on the batter and runners are on. Suddenly everyone's looking at me. I look up to see what do they see. And a baseball falls into my glove. I play right field. It's important to know. You got to know how to throw. You got to know how to catch. That's why I play in right field. Right out where the dandelions grow. When you want to make it great, stop by Pizza Hut. Making it great.
If you put it to music, Willis Croft will learn it.
Holy shit!
The
Holy shit!
sad thing is, John could have been a doctor if you just put organic chemistry to some kind of catchy tune.
How the fuck do you know that?
If you put it to music, he'll remember it.
I just assumed the fast forward button was broken on my VCR.
Oh my god! Yeah, it was always have that commercial on there.
John knows.
Apparently, you've seen Turtles a million times.
Yes, you could say that.
He might have broken that tape.
But on that note, I remember, I think The Wizard is my all-time favorite commercial as a movie.
Oh god,
It's so-
the wizard.
it's so blatant.
If you haven't seen it, we will, I'm sure, talk
That's
about
gonna
it
be
on
a
the show.
Pantheon on
Yeah,
that.
that's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be Pantheon.
That's Pantheon.
It is unquestionably a 90-minute Nintendo commercial. That's all it is.
Sad.
It's just to sell Nintendo products. It's not, oh, Nintendo's in the background. The whole movie revolves around Nintendo.
And Nintendo championship games.
Oh, yeah. Even though they stopped doing that, they only did that for about 3 years, guys.
They did.
And then they stopped doing it. But they thought, oh, well, kids are going to want to do this. We're going to do it every year forever. Even though really point-based games kind of died out by 95?
Around that, yeah.
So it's like, I guess they just assumed side-scrolling point-based games would be around forever.
Well,
But-
pretty much when Mortal Kombat came on the scene, it was just like, hey, instead of points, how about just rip each other's heads off?
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat.
You know? That's really all you want.
It is.
But what is your guys' examples of just
Boy.
egregious?
The Wizard's a good example. I feel like everybody shits on the ET inclusion of Reese's Pieces, but number one, Reese's Pieces are awesome.
I'm not caring.
And number two, I don't think that the movie really like circulates around it. I think for me, like the Iron Man franchise is really bad with that because there's so much noise on both ends. You know, you see Iron Man on all these products in the stores before the movies come out, and then you see the movies, and then they're just there like for money purposes. It's
Well,
just
they don't even have
gross.
trailers for those movies. They just have advertisements using Iron Man in them.
Yeah.
I almost never see Iron Man trailers. I only see the Subway ad with Iron Man, the Pennzoil ad with Iron Man. But,
Or Iron Man using the AC/DC,
yeah.
soundtrack. Because, as it does.
Although I don't know if that's egregious as mine, but I'll give it to you. But-
Mine, I mean, we talked about it already, but Mac and Me really takes the cake.
Is Mac and Me worse than...
No,
Then
because
Transformers?
No,
Yeah.
because nobody's fucking seen Mac and Me, and nobody cares. You know what I mean?
I think Mac and Me is worse
Well,
because
are
they
we-
try to be sneaky.
Well, no, they didn't try to be sneaky. That's the whole deal. Like, the whole movie revolves around Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and that's it. That's literally the whole movie.
and whatever those moving boxes were. I
Well,
can't
yeah,
remember.
those were Mayflower. Those were Mayflower moving boxes. So that's 3 right there, and I'm probably missing a whole bunch of others. But Skittles was one, right?
Oh, Skittles, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
Mac has diabetes.
but he really does.
His blood sugar gets low. Okay,
But no, like I just felt that movie was like the worst because everything was a fucking product. Like even down, and we said this in the episode, even down to the last scene where Mac is wearing a McKids shirt from McDonald's.
As he's being like, welcome to the United... His dad's in a suit.
Yeah, his dad's in a suit, and he's wearing a McKids shirt. So it's like, what the fuck? Like I'd say that one is the worst one. I can kind of forgive Transformers because I already know that it's shit.
Do we forgive Demolition Man for Taco Bell? Taco Bell when the franchise was?
I liked Wesley Snipes in that because he was ridiculous.
I mean, I love Demolition Man.
do
It has
too.
its faults.
I do too.
But just that ad for Taco Bell.
Yeah. John, do you know how to use the 3 seashells?
The 3 seashells.
he doesn't know how to use the 3
He doesn't know how to use 3 seashells.
Not as bad as, you have a McDonald's in your house, Richie Rich?
Oh, yeah.
I sure do. I can eat delicious Big Macs whenever I want. Oh! And he does the face
Yeah.
thing, from Home Alone.
yes.
But no, I definitely have to say that for me, at least, Mac and Me takes the cake on that one.
Maybe.
But yeah.
So in the end, I know that product placement, because these movies are business, I find it acceptable if you keep it subtle, you keep it in the background. I don't even mind if the characters are drinking the Dr. Pepper. Just don't make a movie about Dr. Pepper. You know?
I mean, like I said, if it fits in with the reality of the thing, and you kind of shit on me earlier, John, when I said that, but if it fits into the world, it's not as big of a deal because we know Hollywood is going to make these deals now. We know that that's
They're
just
gonna
a
do it
fact of
regardless.
life. They're going to do what they need to do or what they feel they need to do.
Just don't make it a blatant part of the narrative.
well, just don't do it at the expense of the story, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't hurt your product. That's what I'm saying for sure.
Well, I think we've talked it out to death. Product placement, that is. So,
you guys know what's really funny?
Huh?
I'm pretty sure it's a Hyundai in Walking Dead, and I said Toyota. So not only was it a bad advertisement because I couldn't remember the kind of car, but it was awful in general.
Nicotero's going to come after you.
He really is.
Nicotero, come at me, bro. I just want to meet him, so that'd be fine.
Yeah. But, so we're going to close out the episode. Elaine, where can they find you at on the Twitters?
I can be found at LA_Croft.
John, where can they find you at?
I can be found at Reebok, Pepsi, Doritos. Oh, crap. Sorry. No.
Belvedere Vodka.
Unreal. Yeah, Belvedere Vodka. Unreal J Bulls.
And you can find me at Brian Kyneton. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, at Psycho Show. You can also find us on the Epicast Network at epicastnetwork.com. If you have a favorite movie or a question, or you just want to, talk to us about product placement, you can contact us at cinemapsychoshow.com. You can also be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes. Send us a rate, send us a review. We love getting those.
Do it.
We haven't gotten them in a while, so please tell us how we're doing.
We're feeling lonely.
Show
We're
us
feeling
the
a little
love.
lonely. Show us some love. We'll show you some love. John will show you love.
All over your body.
All over your body. And be sure to catch a new episode available every Sunday.
And special shout out to our new sponsor, Milkshake 9. Thank you for keeping the show on the air.